guy back in middle school who woke up with a raging fucking headache one night? And not one of those headaches in the front of your head or in your temples or whatever. It was like the hive queen mother of headaches, laying eggs inside his brain and shit. It was everywhere. He was like,
maybe my brain's just dehydrated?
One of those.
I didn't drink enough water kind of headaches.
Because those can get pretty ugly. So he goes to his bathroom sink, turns it on, leans down, takes a nice swig of some unfiltered 3 a.m. sink water, and when he pops his head back up, he's got the craziest fucking case of bedhead. Like, really bad. Like, so bad that maybe the bedhead is causing the headache somehow. Maybe his hair follicles are just so bent out of shape that it's scrambling his fucking brain. So he flicks on the lights, and he's got a speaker head. Like there's just a speaker in his head, or on it. He wasn't really sure how to describe it. If you can imagine all the space from above about halfway up your forehead was just replaced with a speaker.
And it was nailed in.
Nails lining the perimeter of your head, your hair buzzed off. It's kind of a rough picture of what this guy was dealing with. He didn't know what to fucking do. He started to dig through his bathroom cabinet, and under some old cotton balls, a nail file, and a pair of clippers he probably shouldn't be using for his fingers or his toes, but nonetheless used them for both, he found a stolen pair of his mom's old tweezers. He was too embarrassed to ask for them. He rattled the bathroom door, double-checking that shit was locked, and then holding this vaguely feminine product that always seemed elusive to embryonic boys, he began to investigate. Plucking, pricking, prodding, experimenting with his body in the way a kid does when he first starts to masturbate. A tug here, a flick there, pressing everywhere. And after recording the various null outputs of variously small-minded inputs, he worked up some courage. He fixed the tweezer on the skin around a nail that was lined up with what should have been his temple, and yanked. Supposedly,
it hurt like a motherfucker.
See, that's where the headache was coming from. His skin throbbed, and Tylenol wasn't fixing that shit. Oddly enough, though, the speaker itself was numb, couldn't feel a thing, so logically, he thought that if the speaker couldn't feel anything, surely he could just pull it out. But when he tried to do that, he started to bleed along the speaker's skin border, and that hurt like a motherfucker too, so he stopped. He said,
it was wireless, so I couldn't unplug anything. Or maybe the wires were inside?
He didn't really know. He did know one thing, though.
My mom was gonna kill me if she found out.
That would be because he already took a week off of school early in the semester when he had strep, and Miss Speakerhead had very high expectations for her son. He was gonna be a doctor and nothing less, and Dr. Speakerhead doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. So he goes to his closet, gets a hoodie, puts it on, looks in the mirror again to check his necessary fashion statement. The evidence was conclusive. Just kind of looked like he had a flat top if he kept the laces tight. So he did, and he went back to bed. The next morning he kept the hoodie on, and when he got to school that day, no one said a fucking thing, except...
Did the barber fuck your shit up?
The day goes on and on like this. He was walking through a desert with no oasis in sight. And every couple miles through this desert, he thinks, surely a security guard is going to ask him to take off his hood. Surely someone's going to want to see the haircut. Surely something, anything is going to happen. But nada. Nothing. Zilch. Finally, he gets to the oasis at the end of the day to enjoy himself. He's standing outside, waiting for the bus, and everyone's going at it, talking shit, killing time. But meanwhile, once the formalities of Yu-Gi-Oh card discussions and the latest in Saturday morning cartoons subside, old Speakerhead starts to feel something. Something wet and cold and saline. He's sweating. This stereo set is baking in the sun. The heat is fucking killing him. The hoodie is microwaving his fork of a brain. There's a waterfall coming out of his forehead, and he starts panicking because what if the speaker doesn't like sweat? What if the water and the wires mix and it short circuits his fucking brain and zaps his ass? If he gets electrocuted by his own speaker while waiting for the bus, it's gonna be so embarrassing, and everyone's gonna laugh at his dead, charred corpse. It's gonna be like a toaster in a bathtub, except his body is both the toaster and the bathtub. So he says, fuck it, and he takes the hoodie off. And no one says a fucking thing. Again, he's stunned by the fact that no one is stunned, and as he goes to wipe his brow, he realizes the speaker ain't there. He just looks normal now. Last night must have been a fever dream. The bus ride home, he's fucking elated. He goes out and to celebrate and gets himself the latest X-Men, issue 28. When he gets back home, he eats his dinner, does his math, reads his comic, jerks off, and goes to sleep. He assumes his regular sleep position, his arm tucked under the pillow with his body half tilted to the side. This usually allows him to fall asleep the fastest. And he lays there, silently recovering from the day, alone with his head at peace. It's funny how you never realize how nice it is to not have a headache until you've just had one. He finally dozes off, but is woken right back up. His mom is playing music in the other fucking room. He plugs up his ears, but it just gets louder and louder. Suddenly there's music blasting at full volume. His head is vibrating to the music. It's not coming from the other room.
It's coming from me.
He looks at his clock. It's 1:45 a.m. Miss Gramophone is still asleep, and if she wakes up, she's gonna fucking kill him. So he goes to the mirror, flips on the lights, and boom. The boombox was there yet again. But this time,
Someone put it on tighter.
there were screws now, digging into his skin, penetrating his thoughts, ring-shanked into his neurons.
Oh, fuckers must have gotten me when I fell asleep.
He couldn't find a screwdriver for the screws, and not for lack of trying. It wasn't Phillips and it wasn't flat. It was some kind of diamond-shaped protruding hole that looked like it existed in between. He searched and searched for volume buttons, but he couldn't find any. His mom started banging on the door. Bang, bang, bang! Honey, she said, turn that shit down, please. At this point, he said,
It wasn't even music, it was just sound, and it just blared and blared. My ears were so fucking loud.
turn it down! His mom was pissed now, banging on the door, trying to unlock it. Bang, bang, bang! Without thinking, he ran back to his bed and buried his head under the pillow. In a stroke of genius, he grabbed all of his sheets, every single one, and stuffed them all into the speaker's cavity and wrapped up his loud-ass fucking speaker head. The sound dampened. It became
For the most part.
imperceptible. Thank you, his mom barked. Don't do that again, dipshit! He saved himself by the skin of his teeth. He could still hear the sound, but his mom couldn't, so he went back to bed. He did the same thing the next morning and wore a hoodie to school, but this time, he stuffed his head with toilet paper and cotton balls. It wasn't too noticeable. Just kind of looked like he went from having a flat top to an afro.
No biggie.
He thought.
Afros are cool.
It was around this time, as he was sitting in classes, he started paying attention to the whole music.
That's what I called it. Whole music.
Because the speaker, part of the speaker, just kind of looked like a hole. Like one of those minimalist, real contemporary speakers. And the whole music was actually music. It wasn't just random sound. It was a purposeful, collective composition of clicks and chimes. Like something someone trying too hard would call good jazz.
Music just isn't what it used to be.
He'd say. After looking at the clock long enough, he also realized that it looped about every 2 minutes. It was generally the same thing, and the only break from this loop was when an ad played for a brand that was literally out of this world. They were products he never heard of, advertised in an alien language he never learned to speak. But no matter what language you speak or how many eyes you have, you can always tell when someone's trying to sell you something. They talk pervasively in the key of persuasion. Anywhere there is dead air, they fill it. Buy it, they say. Buy it, buy it, buy it, do it, do it, do it. At a certain point, he also realized that it wasn't quite a loop. Every now and then a click was in a different place or a chime was pitched a little higher. They were all different songs, but clearly from the same artist, which really sucked because he always preferred playlists to albums. And over the sound of the whole music, he couldn't hear his fucking algebra or English lessons or anything, really. But then at the end of every school day, while waiting for the bus, it'd go away. And then like a bad pop song that just hit top charts,
It'd come back the second I fell asleep.
so his mom saw his head at dinner and his friends saw it before the bus. No one suspected a thing. But every night, the screws got tighter and tighter, and the whole music got a little louder, and the aliens got a little chattier, and pretty soon he stuffed so many fucking cotton balls in his head that he couldn't hear his own thoughts. They were all muffled. He couldn't hear jack shit, but he didn't want to go to the sped classes where they taught kids who couldn't hear because he could hear, just not right now. So he fucking flunked out of his classes. He didn't fight hard enough for airtime, and it wasn't exactly an FM situation, so he got Fs on everything. Once again, Miss Hi-Fi was gonna kill him. That's when he brought me on board. We were sitting in an art class, and
Somewhere in the middle of a presentation on the Renaissance and freeing the figures in the stone, I told him that I was zoning out.
he had trouble hearing what the teachers were saying.
I had no idea what the class was even about.
But he wouldn't go into detail. He said it was vague. So I started showing him my notes and my homework, right? And we started to meet up every day while we waited for the bus, and I caught him up on what he missed in classes, right? And I'm trying really hard. I thought he was just like really fucking dumb. I felt bad for him. So I'm giving him these little detailed ass little mini classes, like real Bill Nye stuff, right? But he's just tanking it all. And it gets to a point where like, I don't really want to help him anymore because it's embarrassing to be seen talking to him. And the whole school thought he was going deaf. We didn't realize that he was hearing way more than any of us. And then,
One particular hot-ass evening.
I assumed my regular position to give him the notes. The asphalt and concrete were joining forces, creating a kiln-like experience for the bus riders. You could practically smell the Nikes and Vans burning and becoming one with the ground. But despite the hazy clay state my mind was in, I had finally worked up enough courage to tell him that I can't give him the notes anymore. This was, decidedly, the day I broke it off. I see him come out of the building, the worn hoodie distinctly recognizable around the school by now. As soon as he's close enough that I can see his face, I can tell right away that he's not jazzed about the heat. He takes off his hood, mows on over to me, and boom. Fucking speaker, stereo, walking Vitrola, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Something went wrong, and he immediately saw that shit in my eyes that I was looking at his gross-ass fucking speaker dome. So he grabs me by the shoulders, covers my mouth, and drags me into the bathroom. Once we're in there, he lets me go and locks the door. What the fuck, I said. He started to stuff toilet paper in his head and
started explaining everything as best as I could, or as well as I understood it.
I'm speechless. What the hell did I get myself into? I was just trying to do something nice, and now he's rambling on and on about the months this has been happening, and says something about how the person controlling the speaker must not have Spotify Premium. And while he's spitting this story at me, he goes to look in the mirror, but when he sees himself, he stops. It was bad. Something was different.
It was welded now.
Like someone fucking cauterized his hairline so the metal and flesh were just fucking one. So Speakerhead starts thinking out loud, talking to me about how
dampening the speaker dampens everything.
And that he
doesn't want to buy it.
And
whoever's on aux has terrible taste.
I start to walk out of the bathroom. I start to walk out because I don't want to be associated with this audio jackless jackass. He cries out, "Wait!" And his voice kind of reverberated out into his whole body when he said it. But I kept going towards the door. He took the toilet paper out of his head and the whole music started blaring. It was so fucking loud, but I wasn't having a shit. I opened the door and then he screams out to me,
"If you leave, I'll tell them that you helped me cheat."
The fucker was blackmailing me. I walked back into the bathroom and asked him what he wanted, because he has a speaker in his head. What the fuck am I gonna do?
You're gonna help me take it off for good.
I snapped back, it's fucking welded, bro.
Grab a pencil and a pencil sharpener,
he said. Reluctantly, I rifled through my middle schooler backpack, and under some old cough drops, expired hall passes crumpled up by time, and a lollipop that had melted and conjoined with its wrapper, I found 2 dull number 2 pencils and 1 busted pencil sharpener. Over the course of the next few minutes, we then crafted together some kind of discount version of a hammer and chisel.
The hammer being
my water bottle.
And the chisel.
The blade of a pencil sharpener and one of my 2 number 2 pencils jerry-rigged together. And without a word, I became 8th grade Michelangelo, and I carved into my 8th grade David. With white knuckle precision, I picked my way through the dead skin, the scabs, and the chrome. I was really careful, because if I killed this fucker, I'd be in a lot of trouble, and my mom would fucking kill me. So I poke and I prod and I cut and I cleave and I face the music. Speakerhead, soon to be regular head, doesn't say a word. I insert the chisel and he jolts, but he does not speak. I hammer it in, and he flinches, but he does not speak. His entire body is shaking as I'm doing this. His face looks like it's imploding in on itself. He doesn't say anything, though. He just sits in excruciating silence and grabs paper towels to clean up the red, wet mess I was creating out of the botched edge-up that was his head. The only thing that he said to me was in the beginning.
It's definitely easier with someone else.
I don't know what to say, so I don't. I banged the chisel in once or twice and then realized that I should just do it in waves. Like make one complete go-around, the blueprint, if you will. When, like how an artist sketches out the whole thing before he does the details. That way it'll just come out whenever it's ready to come out, right? Easy enough. So I make one complete go-around when...
Bang, bang, bang!
Someone's at the door. Someone's at the bathroom door.
Bang, bang, bang!
Did we lock it? I wasn't sure. Speakerhead doesn't seem to notice. I'm not sure if you can even hear. Maybe I struck a nerve.
Bang, bang, bang! Open the door!
If they open the door and see this backroom biopsy, I'm royally fucked. But I can't stop now because I've already started to open the lid of this fucking 12-year-old tomato can.
You're not allowed to be in the bathroom after school. Open the door!
It's the teachers. Oh shit, it's the fucking teachers. I feel like a black market brain surgeon as I'm doing this in the bathroom without any kind of painkillers, because I think that both of us are the furthest thing from doctors that we could possibly be. Surely we should be using morphine or some shit, but I read once somewhere that brain surgery is actually the only surgery that happens without painkillers. You don't need them because the brain can't feel. That's not its job. The brain thinks. The only thing that the brain can do is think more or think less. So really, this isn't that different from what they do in hospitals. I'm just missing the sterility that comes with a medical degree. Maybe the teachers will be able to tell that I'm putting a lot of care into it, and it will be fine.
Bang, bang, bang!
I'm halfway through into cutting his head now, and I can tell it hurts a lot. I think the brain thinks it has more than one job sometimes, because I think his brain thinks it should do a lot more than think, and that's why it hurts. As I cut deeper, his blood starts to run a translucent yellow. Really, it stops looking like blood and more like if pus was meaningful, and the teachers won't fucking go away. And I think I heard something about security. And you know, the eyes are actually a part of the brain, like they're just an extension. They might as well be the same organ. So if I fuck something up here, he could lose his eyes forever. And that must mean that if you get dust in your eyes, and that's actually dust in your brain, maybe that was a lie. I don't think you can have dusty brain. Surely you can have the same organ. Shit, my pencil sharpener is getting dull. I rifle through my backpack. Nothing. I don't have another fucking pencil sharpener. Why would I need another fucking pencil sharpener? I look around. My eyes are racing faster than my heart is. Toilet paper. I managed to break loose the toilet paper dispenser, and after a couple stomps, I get loose that blade where you break the toilet paper off.
Open the door or you're expelled.
Hold on! I yelled. Luckily, my chisel is serrated now, so things are moving much faster. Chewing, ripping, grinding through to the base of his cerebral matter. I'm moving with the grace of an expert seamstress as I perform the final cuts. This is it. Cracks form at the fault line of his head. Microscopic vistas appear before me. I can see inside his cranium. Arches of bone where the wind flows in and out, creating a droning whistle just beneath the whole music. And then the whole thing came right out. As I lifted the speaker out of his head, the device began to glow a nuclidic green. The alien salesman grew louder and louder.
Buy it, buy it, buy it, do it, do it, do it!
The sounds of the speaker splintered together. The cue was getting all fucked up. I could hear the suction of the speaker schlup as it was removed when I was stopped by a sudden tug. I just wanted the sound to stop. What the fuck else did I need to do? I looked under the speaker and I could see a short electrical wire that ran from the base of his encephalon megaphone to the bottom of what was now a skylight in his head. Upon closer examination, I could see that it was an audio jack, and it was snugly plugged into his pale, wet brain. So I reach in, grab the wire, and yank. And with a little feedback, the music stopped. And he woke back up. I guess he was on off. We throw the speaker in the trash and the bloody paper towels and the pencils and pencil sharpener. You'd think it'd be one of those things that would be closer to each other afterwards, but no.
I apologize for blackmailing him.
I said it was okay because his head looked like a deflated basketball now.
Yeah, it kind of does.
He laughed a bit.
Next time I'll just get a pair of Beats.
I didn't know what to say, so I just didn't.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure, I replied. I hope I did a good job. I just want to be a good person.
Bang, bang, bang!
I washed my hands, he put on his hood, and we ran straight past the teachers before they ever had time to catch us or look in the trash can. I just barely caught the bus. I think he walked back home once he had enough distance to stop running. And he did actually become a doctor. When I got back, I told my mom that I wanted to be homeschooled for high school. She asked me if I was sure. I nodded my head. Kids are mean.